stars, and I feel like you can't really watch the skies here in LA. It's too,
No,
there's
you can't even really see them.
no.
The smog and
Right.
the light.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
I remember when you went to Arizona, right?
Yeah, I love Sedona, man.
Right.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's good memory. Yeah, I went with Goddard.
Yep.
That place is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's like a spiritual vortex.
Yeah, you're telling me you had to rent these night goggles,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you were like seeing all kinds of stuff up there.
Yeah, we went on the Sedona UFO tour.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I wanted to see stuff, but I wasn't thinking like we for sure would. I thought at best maybe you see one thing. But they gave us these like military grade, like $10,000 night
Right.
vision goggles. And what I realized that night with them is that there's UFO activity in the sky at all times.
Yep.
We can't see a lot of it.
Yep.
A lot of it is in like infrared and ultraviolet
Mm-hmm.
light spectrum.
Yep.
So, or just, it's a little too far for us to see it,
Right.
even if it's, in our light spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But flip those things down, man, and there's just stuff going on. And he's like, they showed us, they're like, so look, there's see the satellites? You'll notice there's no satellites over us right now.
Right.
Space station's not over us.
Mm-hmm.
At this time of night, none of the planets are over us. There's no planes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a drone looks like, so it's not a drone.
Mm-hmm.
So what are those 30-something things
Right.
that are just zigzagging and moving all around? And,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a life-changing experience for me.
That's wild, man. I'd love to go do something like that one day with those nice vision goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Sedona.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. I think, I don't know, some kind of interdimensional portal, wormhole,
Yeah.
something magical is going on there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
We're gonna drive up through Zion National Park when we go.
You are.
Because we're gonna go up through that, and then I'm gonna cut over. My brother lives in Denver right now. He works for the FAA.
Oh, cool.
So, and I've been asking him, like, what do you hear about like aliens and stuff like that? And he goes, so we're not really involved in that.
Yeah.
He goes, the airlines though, like if pilots spot stuff, there's like a special hotline or something they're supposed to call to report things.
Yeah.
But he was like, but the way the FAA works off radio signals and stuff, like even if like they're telling them they see something, like the FAA can't see that,
Yeah.
right? From wherever they're based, right?
Yeah.
Because of they're operating off the radio signals with the airplanes, So
It's and they're starting to kind of like destigmatize it a little bit for pilots to actually say something.
Yep.
Because I think historically, like they
you
scared they lose their
crazy.
license, you lose your job for the airline,
Right.
or and it's funny too because they're doing the same thing with the military. So for when they put in the Corona relief bill that they had to, that it was Trump signed it, it's law, you got to turn over, all the agencies got to turn over what they know about UFOs.
Right.
CIA and Air Force, nothing. We don't know anything. And the Navy is the one that is like, oh well, we see stuff constantly. So like I think all signs point to like the legacy UFO program that's hidden
Right.
is CIA and Air Force.
Right.
And the Navy it's a whole different thing, and like they're actually reporting what they're seeing. They don't have it like this system of secrecy kind of built into it. So the Navy, we owe the Navy a lot of gratitude for, they're kind of busting this open, like that USS Nimitz video,
Right.
the Go Fast, the gimbal, the Tic Tac, all that stuff. Those are Navy pilots, and now there's a platform for Navy pilots to like share when they see something. And
Right.
I don't know, man. I think this is going to be the year of disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but there's I told you about Chris Bredslow, right? And the UFO God book, and
did you read the book?
I did read the book. Yeah. Well, I did on an audiobook.
Yeah.
So
I haven't read it yet, but I want to.
I listened through all of it, and I've also listened to other, podcasts with him. I've listened to his son too. His son has
Ryan?
a podcast. Yeah, Ryan Bledsoe said so, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just find his story very fascinating, and he has this experience with this entity called the woman,
yeah,
right? The lady, yeah, and she told him something that like Easter 2026 or something like that.
Something about the Sphinx.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
In Egypt, yeah.
So, but then like I heard something from him a couple months ago where he was like, oh, it's not going to be like this one-time event then. It's going to be the start of kind of like a rollout. The
start of a rollout.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's, I mean, not that they're trying to match pop culture, but like
Right.
it's never been more positioned
Yep.
to happen. I mean, Disclosure Day came out.
Yep.
Begonia just came out. Age of Disclosure came out.
Yep.
Did you see Age of Disclosure?
No, I didn't.
It's really good.
Wait, oh, the Amazon documentary,
Yeah.
right? Yes, I did see that.
It's good.
You know, I have mixed feelings about Luis Elizondo.
I absolutely agree completely.
Yeah, because he's very much that guy. He's like, I know so much, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and, you know, personally, I think with Elizondo, you know, every title he's had in the military
Mm-hmm.
is counterinsurgency, counterintelligence,
Mhm.
counterterrorism.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he is a government placed whistleblower. That's my theory.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I
Right.
I wouldn't say I quite believe that, but it seems more likely than not.
Right.
And I could see the logic on that, right? Like if the government's been lying for 80 years,
Mm-hmm.
do they step to the podium and say, we've been lying for 80 years? Or do they have someone from their own ranks
Mm-hmm.
blow the whistle
Right.
so that even though like they're telling on the government,
Mhm.
it's still coming from the government.
Right.
So someone in the government's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it also lets them control the narrative,
Right.
which, you know, of course, the thing they always go to is national security.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Like military guys are always going to say, oh, well, we didn't have complete sovereignty over American airspace.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if it was a national security threat,
Yeah.
we would have been cooked a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get it. We got to play ball, right? If aerospace threat is what gets Congress to listen and
Mhm.
gets everyone interested.
Yep.
Okay. Like whatever gets the needle moving. I personally think though, it seems like, and there's a lot of chatter in the UFO world that like that Trump has got a speech prepared.
Really?
Yeah. For like mid this year,
Yeah.
if he can wait that long.
Yeah. I saw something the other day that the disclosure is going to happen so he can get attention off the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Which, you know, and I'll say this too. I'm not a Trump fan, but
Right.
I will say, regardless of what anybody thinks of him, he is maybe one of the only presidents we've had that's crazy enough to just like go up against
Yep.
the legacy program,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Because like they've had sitting presidents be scared of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Bill Clinton didn't get read in he tried to get read in on it
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't do it. And he didn't push back harder because he didn't want to end up getting clipped,
Right.
which was a fear of his.
Yeah.
Did you see much of Stephen Greer stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. You turned me on to Stephen Greer
Yeah.
stuff.
You know, I've learned over the years he's kind of a controversial figure in
Yeah, I've
the
learned that
space.
too.
I didn't know that, but you know, he still played a big role in exposing the idea to the masses and
Mhm.
but you know, I guess he briefed someone in the Clinton administration and they said, yeah, like Bill wanted to push harder on this, but he's afraid he'd end up like Kennedy.
Right.
And that was like his direct fear.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of evidence that suggests that that's what potentially got Kennedy taken out.
Right.
Was going on
as I've heard.
against, you know, intelligence and
Yeah.
military. And, you know, I'm sure. Okay. So let's,
Let's kick this thing
let's
off.
kick this off. I appreciate you doing this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, let's say prior to your experience,
Mm-hmm.
what were your thoughts on UFOs, ETs? Like
I
what?
didn't think about him at all.
It wasn't on your radar.
I was raised in a Baptist church.
Mhm.
So that was all that mattered in terms of like life beyond this life. And you know, but by the end of high school, you know, maybe it was just the hormones or what, I don't know what in me, but I started to be like, you know, the whole God and Jesus thing I'm fine with, but like all these rules and the sense of legalism and don't do this and don't do that, like this doesn't work for me, right? And this is what would eventually turn me down a road of eventually alcoholism, right?
Yeah.
But you know, at the time, I was just going to college,
Yeah.
right? And I was, you know, experiencing new things, trying new things, psychedelics, stuff, you know, that was really expanding my perspectives on things.
Yeah.
And
Experiencing different versions of reality.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know, my college experience is where this my experience happened, right? So should we just get into
Let's
it?
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because so this is what partially led to us being friends.
Yeah.
I met you
Because I met you at the G House.
Living,
Yeah.
and then I don't know why we got on the topic of it, but I was like, oh, I gotta tell you the story, which is a story I feel like I've now told like 100 times, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to sit down and do it in a podcast and record it for once. But yeah, so I had an experience in, I want to say it was that my junior year of college.
So what year would that have been?
This was been 2010.
2010. Okay.
2010, around there. And I was living with a girlfriend at the time in West Philadelphia. And wasn't doing anything too crazy. I wasn't using hard drugs. I, drinking some here, smoking some weed there.
Mhm.
But nothing too crazy, right? And one night I just go to bed with the girlfriend, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and we're living in a row home in West Philadelphia at this time. And I hear people, what sounds like people on our front porch. Our room was like right outside the front door, right?
Yeah.
So I'm laying there in bed, and I'm hearing these people, and they're like whispering to each other.
Yeah.
And I can't really make out what's going on. I have upstairs, roommates and stuff, and I'm like, is it one of them, right? And like, but I'm knowing them, I'm like, why would they be whispering and
Yeah.
like just hanging out on the front porch, and they're whispering to each other, and I'm like, what is going on out there?
Yeah. Why are people on my porch whispering?
That, and in West Philadelphia,
Yeah.
it's not always the safest place, right? So I'm thinking like, are we about to get broken in on, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so I go to wake my girlfriend at the time up, and she just like won't get up. Like I'm like shaking her, and she's just like, like just let me sleep, right? And I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna lay here in bed and like just wait and see what happens, I guess, right? And I'm laying there in bed, and they're still out there whispering, and I the way I remember it is I may have fallen back asleep,
Mhm.
but it was like as soon as I fell asleep that this bright light filled the room,
Mhm.
and it was so bright that I could barely see. So I sit up in this bed, and I'm like trying to like get to my senses and look around, and it's blinding white light, right? And
In a dark room.
in a dark room,
Yeah.
right? So and then I start to see what looks like people like walking in towards me,
Coming from the light.
coming from, well, I don't know if it was coming from the light, or they were just in the light, or what.
Or
It was
they
like,
were the light.
it was like
Yeah.
my eyes couldn't see correctly,
Yeah.
right? And I'm starting to make out what looked like people, and then they start to get a little closer, and they looked very Aryan, right?
Yeah.
So like blonde hair, blue eyes,
Yeah.
like thin, slender people, like walking in towards me, like they're they like they're looking at, like,
Human looking.
yeah, very human looking,
Yeah.
but they're like almost like studying me, right? With
Mhm.
this like gaze, and they start to come towards me, and I freak out, right? And I start swinging on these entities or whatever they are, and
And you're sober. Like you're not.
yeah,
You're
I
in
mean,
bed.
I may have smoked a joint the night before, but from what I've heard about weed, is
Yeah.
that weed doesn't even like lead to dreams. Like it's actually stops you from dreaming.
It
is
does,
what
yeah.
I've heard. So I'm like swinging out on these, and I'm in like state of panic.
Shock,
This,
yeah.
right? And all of a sudden things move so quick. It was like I was grabbed, thrown down on something, and something was slammed in my arm, on my left arm, and I immediately came to, like in bed, cold sweat, freaked out. And I go to wake my girlfriend at the time up, and I'm like, I wake her up, and I'm like, I just had like the craziest dream that I was like abducted by aliens or something. That's the only thing I could make it, think it could be. And she's like, okay, I have work in the morning. Like, can we talk about this tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, and she goes back to sleep, and I go back to sleep. And then we get up in the morning. She goes off to work. I'm in college, so I get up and I get in the shower to get ready to go to my classes, and I start washing myself. And lo and behold, there's something very strange on my arm, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And these are these pictures, right, that
Yeah.
I've provided you with.
Let me see. Here.
Um,
I'll bring these
and
up.
at the time, I was very much like, I didn't know what it was, right? But I had some friends in college at the time that had history with intravenous drug use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though they weren't necessarily the best people to check with at the time, there were people I felt comfortable with showing,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "This very much looks like a basically a track wound, right?"
Yeah.
You know?
Well, based on the location, but you weren't an IV drug user.
No, I was not.
Yeah.
And I'd never done it. In fact, I hate needles, right? And what gets interesting about this is if you zoom in on it, right? Because I give you one. There's a picture where it's kind of zoomed in, right? You can kind of see that it's on a vein, right?
Mm-hmm.
There looks like there's some kind of blood stipling or something from someone like grabbing like a thumb mark right to the left.
Yeah.
And then one of these people, friends told me was that it looked like a rushed injection because there's a little mark right next to the mark where the needle clipped.
Yeah, and then right there's kind of some bruising.
Right.
Where like, yeah, it makes sense.
Right. And, these friends at the time advised, they were like, you should probably go to a doctor or get this checked out.
Now, and your dad's a doctor, right?
My dad's a doctor. But I was like, I don't want to freak out my family or anything like that. I also, I believe that there's things like the Men in Black out there, right? That if you start talking, they're going to show up and they're going to take my photos and they're going to, wipe me of my story. And I wanted to keep the story at the time. Right. And, it was something that a wild experience that I couldn't explain. And, it started to change me as a person. Because I was this guy that had been raised in a Baptist church and I was all about God and all about Jesus, but I never thought about things like extraterrestrials. It just didn't cross my mind.
Yeah.
And now I'm going, is there something out there? Is everything that I believed in terms of spirituality and God, like, is it all wrong?
Yeah.
So I start going down the alien rabbit hole, right? And I start trying to go to every crevice of the internet that I could find the littlest piece of information that just made sense to me.
Yeah.
And at this time, I don't know if I'm identifying a Christian at this point anymore. I don't know what I believe.
You're kind of questioning everything.
I'm questioning everything. But there was this one line from Buddha that really resonated with me at that time, which is believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. Right. And I'm going okay, I'm going to use that as my guide, in going and searching all this information on aliens.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of crap out there, right? There's stuff that's misleading. There's stuff that's not true. And then there's other stuff where you're like, I don't know why, but it's just I can just feel it in me. I think this happened, right?
Yeah. It was it's visceral. It's it's not a normal dream.
Right.
Because you don't remember the feeling.
Right.
And I have some of my own experiences, but it's dreams are cerebral, but you don't remember the feeling of, like you said, you were thrown on the bed.
Right.
You don't feel it in a dream, but in this dream or experience, you felt it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
there's a needle mark on my arm.
And then there's a needle mark on your arm, right on a vein.
Right.
Yeah. So when you said they threw you back, they did the injection, and then the next thing you know, you're waking up. Just jump from one to the other.
Yep. One to the other.
Okay.
Don't know how long I was with these entities or anything like that. I just woke up immediately and it felt very much like a dream at the time.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, I'm wondering why are there so many abductions while people are sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Because, there's that connection of DMT, right? That we use when we sleep and did something like that happen? But so I start diving down the rabbit hole to try and figure out what happened to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I come across a lot of different things. I learn about, I don't know, it's conspiracy theories because I haven't completely confirmed if they're true or not. Things like the Greada Treaty, right? With Eisenhower, that Eisenhower cut a deal with aliens and we were going to allow them to, bases here in the United States. So
trade
that they
for
could,
technology.
Yes.
In exchange for, we look the other way while you do your abductions and biological research.
Yep.
Now, was that the Holloman incident or is the Holloman incident a different one?
Holloman incident?
I think it's different. So the treaty with Eisenhower is a different one.
Okay.
I think so.
Yep. So and then that led me to learning about underground bases And I remember like the first time like really feeling like kind of like terrified like with the whole extraterrestrial agenda was learning about the underground base in Dulce, New Mexico.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's real, but you know, there seems to be a lot of crazy stories coming out of that.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Phil Schneider,
Yeah,
right? You know, that worked within the base, and got into basically like a firefight with these aliens,
Yeah.
right? And
Tall grays.
yep,
Yeah.
and one of them shot them with some kind of a laser gun, and he
Yeah.
ended up getting like cancer there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then he gets out of this base, right? He starts telling this story, and then he suicided.
Yeah. Well, I remember from the you know, I've seen him speak, some tapes of him speaking, telling the story.
Yeah.
And he's got like his fingers are cut off where
Really?
where the laser hit him.
Really?
And he's got a huge mark in his chest where they're like whatever their directional laser weapons were.
Right.
I mean, his version of it was that they shot him with like a laser weapon, like sizzled off his fingers and cut open his chest. He's got the wounds to match it.
Right.
And you know, I mean, I've heard different versions of like, oh, well, they disproved that, and it's there's so much disinformation. It's hard to know what's what.
Right.
But I found it very interesting. The suicide. Yeah, because it
and he had a
did you see
broken arm at the time, right?
Yeah.
So like apparently they were saying that it would actually be very difficult for him to have killed himself the way that they said that he killed himself because his arm was in a cast at the time.
His arm was in a cast. And did you see any of the pictures?
No.
It's pretty dark.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I'm not getting this totally right, but it was basically like he allegedly killed himself by strangling himself with like an inner tube, a flat inner tube, or like a bicycle tire, like around his neck, and like it seemed, it just didn't make sense that that's how a person would do that themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like based on what I saw, you would almost have to like hold it.
Right. And he's got a broken arm.
And then
it's like,
if once he passes out, it loosens.
Right.
You know? It would take someone else.
Right.
I mean, and it looked like it had been wrapped around his head 3 or 4 times, and like, I don't know. Anyways, it was
so this story, right?
Yeah.
It really starts to scare me, right? Because now I'm thinking there's this whole alien agenda, right, with the government, and they're stealing kids, and they're, you know, taking them to underground bases, and they're running experiments, and they're killing people for the sake of, you know, scientific study, and like, I don't know. I've kind of like, at the time, you know, I considered myself very interested in conspiracy theory type thinking. And I was just like, you know, like it could be. And then, you know, I started to look at the world as this dark place.
Yeah.
Right. And I very much, I wasn't considering the faith that I had grown up on anymore. I was just looking at everything like the government's evil and they're working with aliens and God knows what's going to happen to this country.
Yeah.
You know, and then I went to Puerto Rico. And then this is where
that was what I was going to ask you.
This is where the alien story gets kind of crazy.
And so for just to circle back on this, prior to the trip to Puerto Rico, you had not made the decision that the experience was real, but you were open to it might be. A lot of things suggest it could be. And at this point, your mind is just kind of open to new rabbit holes. But okay, so you're in Puerto Rico. How long after the incident? This
was about 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
So this had happened like early in the year in 2010, and then that summer we went to Puerto Rico. I was with the same girlfriend that I'd been with when the experience happened, and we go down to Puerto Rico. It's gonna be like her 21st birthday at the time or whatever. So we went down and we got a place in Luquillo, Puerto Rico. And we spent some time in San Juan too, and we'd go to and we had a plan to go to El Yunque Rainforest. This was a gift that her parents had gotten for us.
The whole trip?
No,
the tour.
The El Yunque Rainforest.
The rainforest.
That we were gonna go stay at a bungalow in the middle of the El Yunque Rainforest.
Okay.
So we're down in Puerto Rico, and we're going to bars and meeting people and out drinking and partying and having a good time. And we're telling like these Puerto Ricans that like we're going to El Yunque. and they're like, "Oh, El Yunque, like weird things happen in El Yunque," and we are like, "What are you talking about?" And then we learned from these locals that, like, one of the reasons the United States acquired Puerto Rico as a property was because of the El Yunque rainforest and
Hmm.
being able to do things like train tropical warfare down there,
Interesting.
and but then when they did that, occasionally, like, there's like stories of soldiers like going missing for days on end, and then just reappearing and them having no recollection of what happened to them.
Missing time,
Yeah.
paranormal adjacent.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that all these things happen in this Oyunki rainforest. And so and I'm thinking back on my experience, and I'm like, now we're going to this weird rainforest where apparently like people have like extraterrestrial experiences. Like, what is going on? And then so like we get to go to the Oyunki rainforest. We drive up to this property that was like a plantation house with like these little bungalows like around it. I believe the name of it was Casa Pica Flores. Um, and you can still look it up to this day. I believe it's still there. And the woman that ran it, I hope she's still running it. She was a wonderful lady. We're gonna get into the story. Um, but we get on this property, and we go up, and we park next to this plantation house, and this little woman comes running out. And mind you, my girlfriend at the time's parents had reserved this for us.
Okay.
It was under her name.
Yeah.
um I hadn't discussed with her parents my story, right, of
Hmm.
my experience, because I didn't want them to think I'm crazy. I'm dating their daughter at the time. I'm
Yeah.
just like, the less people think I'm crazy, the better.
Hmm.
And we get there, and we get out of the car, and this little woman's like, "Oh, James, I'm so happy that you're here. Like, I've been waiting for you." And I was like,
And what's her role at the? She's like
she's the owner of this property.
owner of the property,
Yeah.
caretaker,
Yeah.
owner.
And like, mind you, like, this is under the girlfriend's name. The girlfriend's parents booked it, and she's
Your
just
name's not even on it.
and my name's not even on it. And she's just showing all this like interest in me. And I go like, like, uh and and then she goes, "We have so much to discuss and talk about." And I go, "Like what?" And she goes, "I think you had an experience recently." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she's like, "With some visitors." And I was like, "Oh my God, like the alien like experience I had like 6 months ago." And she kind of like smiles and like winks at me, right? And I'm just like, I'm thinking like,
That's crazy.
this woman's just like a psychic or something,
Hmm.
right?
She's just reading your mind or something. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, like, tell me about the experience." And I was like, "Okay, so like this is what happened. I don't remember too much. I think I saw people coming towards me, and they looked all Aryan, and they threw me down on a table and slammed something in my arm, and she just kind of like knew." And I was like, and she was like, "Yeah, and she goes, I want to it's been, God, 16 years now. So I want to make sure I get it right, and honest about it, right? And she was just very much like, "Yeah, I'm someone who gets messages from the universe. Like, I'm someone that like gets communications from God knows where. And sometimes I'm encouraged to share this with people." And she goes, and the universe like told me that you were coming, and that I needed to help you with like process this experience.
Yeah.
And uh and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, so like what do I do about it?" And she's like, "Well, I want you to know that you weren't wrong in your faith before." And I go, "What do you mean?" Like, she goes, "You being a Christian and that kind of stuff." She goes, "That's all good stuff for you, actually, in terms of your spirituality and your growth as a person, and there's truth to all of it,
Yeah.
and
So she just knew on her own the crossroads that this had kind of put you in, and
yes."
the questions you were asking internally.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she goes, and there's truth to that. There's truth in all kinds of religions that we can find. And it's all good stuff. It's all light in our universe, right? And she kept going back to this idea of being like a light bringer, and spreading light, and the positivity in the universe is light, right?
Hmm.
and she goes, yeah, like I think that like I think I have something for you that was given to me a long time ago, and I even then I was like I had a feeling I was supposed to give it to someone eventually. And she goes, I think this is for you.
Hmm.
And she goes in the house and comes out with this book, and she hands me this book, and the book is called Bringers of the Dawn by an author named Barbara Marciniak,
Okay.
which I thought was interesting because this woman that I met, I believe, if I recall correctly, her name was Barbara. And I was like, "Oh, is this you?" And she's like, "No, no, different Barbara." And she goes, "In fact, I forget like where I even came across that, but something at the time was like I should grab this and give it to someone at some point." And she goes, "And that person's you, and I believe this is for you." And what gets crazy is that it's all about this race of aliens called the Pleiadians.
That's what the book is about.
Yes.
Bringers of the Dawn.
Well, it's about a lot of different things in terms of extraterrestrial life and history. Like all the way back to like the aliens like genetically engineered humans so that we stopped evolving past a certain point. Right? Because we were evolving, and then we kind of
Stopped.
plateaued off.
Yeah.
Right? And like that was part of it. I've tried to read the book several different times, right? And it feels very like Scientology-ish at times to me, but then there's other parts that make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The book references something called Christ consciousness at one point, which is basically like a truth throughout the universe,
Yeah.
right? And that sometimes can come in through channels, whether it be Jesus Christ or, just truth that gets through to people from a higher power, right?
Mhm.
And then it also goes on to explain things that like that there's all kinds of aliens out there,
Yeah.
and that there's good aliens and there's bad aliens, and that we're basically in the middle of this kind of like cosmic yin yang of sorts.
Yeah.
And
Like a battleground in a way.
right.
Yeah.
And that these Pleiadians are like one of the good aliens, and that they come from the star constellation of Pleiades. And I go to and then I go to like do more research on these Pleiadians, and what do I find? But they're like these Aryan beings.
Yeah. Yeah. They blonde haired, typically
with the blonde hair, blue eyes,
relatively tall. They look Nordic.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I couldn't even believe it, and at that time I was very much like, okay, all right, like I'm gonna take what this woman said and take kind of what makes sense. That once again, that Buddha line, right? What makes sense to you, right?
Yeah.
And take bits and pieces and kind of create my own perception of what the bigger picture is.
Yeah.
Right. And there is no darkness without light, right? So it's like
you have to have both.
Yeah, you have to have both. And then, the last thing that this woman Barbara left me with, she was like, and I have a feeling they're gonna come back when you're ready. And to this day, I haven't had another experience.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly wondering, I'm like, well, aren't I ready now?
Yeah.
Like, right now I'm 6 years sober. I'm part of a church. I try and live a pretty spiritual life,
Yeah.
right?
Have I ever been more ready?
Have I ever been more ready?
When's it going to happen?
Right.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't. And what gets another crazy thing is that when I started dating my now wife, she's comes from a Mexican family, right? And they have a family psychic, right?
Sure.
And this woman is a older Mexican woman who helps with everything from brujeria to to helping you connect with your deceased relatives,
Yeah.
right? This woman like kind of does it all. And I remember first hearing about her, and raised Christian, right? And like there's a line from Jesus like, don't believe psychics, right? And I kind of was like, oh, at the same time, or you guys look to psychics, right? But you shouldn't be doing that, right? Like that's I forget what the line is, the scripture, but he warns against psychics, right? And then I go like, this is kind of crazy. Like, why does my wife go to this like annual psychic? And she still to this day goes to the psychic. And 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 she told me at the time, she had been in a job years before, and a woman had placed brujeria on her, and this woman took her through these like therapeutic sessions, right, where she helped remove the brujeria.
Okay.
And ever since, my wife checks in with her like once a year.
Yeah.
And she goes to see her psychic after starting dating me, and the psychic woman just like knew about the aliens.
Really?
Yeah, and
she didn't say anything.
no, so she didn't say anything. So
Wow.
she goes, oh, you're dating like a new man or whatever, and he's great for you and all this stuff, and she goes, and like he's had like an experience with like life from beyond here. And my wife's like, what? And then she's like, yeah, like he's been visited by like aliens. And my wife's like, my wife had heard the story.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
she was kind of like
freaking out.
What the heck, right?
Yeah.
And then so she comes home and she's like freaked out, and she's like, yeah, my psychic even said to, and that's why I keep, it's so funny to me, like the idea of psychics, because the older I get, the more like truthful stories I hear about psychics. And
Yeah.
and I've even like brought up like, discussions about psychics and stuff with like fellow Christians that I go to church with and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And people say, well, there are people that are like developed in gifts of the spirit, we'll call them.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And
Well said.
and those that's kind of what those people are, or tend to be. And then so my wife comes back, and then she's like, like my psychic wants to meet you. And I'm like, okay.
My psychic wants to meet
So
you. That's great.
we end up going back to the psychic like a month later, and like I get there, and the woman is just like, she like immediately grabs my arm where I'd been
Really?
hit by something, and she was just like looking at it, and I'm like, there's nothing there at this point, right?
Mhm.
And she's just like, no, I can sense it. Like something happened here, and she was like, you need to be careful though. And I go, what do you mean, like careful? And she goes, like, you read it yourself, there are good and bad aliens out there.
Yeah.
And just because you were visited by good aliens doesn't mean that the bad ones aren't gonna come.
Yeah.
And
That's a trip.
and I had, to this day, like I'm like, what does that even mean? And it kind of scares me, but at the same time, like one of the things I learned from this book, Bringers of the Dawn, is that God is real,
Yeah.
right? And basically that like even the good and the bad aliens, they're all in reverence to something they know as prime creator God, right?
Yeah.
Which is something even above them, right?
Yeah.
And
Source.
right. And that I believe, that like God probably uses extraterrestrials, right?
Mhm.
If we look at things like ancient alien history,
Yeah.
right? It's like how has God helped the development of humanity
Mhm.
through outside help?
Yeah. What if you look at like even like in the Bible, a lot of stuff that people say, oh, well, like when they look at it now, they say, oh, well, it's just figurative.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe it was literal. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they're saying exactly what they saw,
Yep.
and maybe it was somewhat misunderstood. But who's to say that's not God working through? It's like you're saying,
Right.
it's what does an angel look like? What does a demon look like?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They both could look like aliens.
Right. Yeah, and if you start to get into that biblical realm and stuff too, there's things like the Book of Enoch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The Book of Enoch's fabulous.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's even in normal Bible, I think it's Genesis 6, where they talk about the gods like having relations with the women, right?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
just kind of like, and then they create
Hybrids.
right? The Nephilim.
The Nephilim, yeah.
Right, and that there seems to be some truth to all of that. And then I forget where I heard. I think I heard from Wes Huff or someone, but there was an idea that demons are basically the souls of Nephilim that couldn't get beyond this world, right, when they died, because they were these hybrid beings, and that they somehow like,
They're stuck.
yeah, they're stuck, and then that's how they become quote unquote demons. But who knows? But there's other things in the Bible too that are just definitely like, like I look at the whole story of Moses and the
Yeah.
things that happened. You know, at first, you know, he's trying to free the Israelites from Egypt, right? They're slaves in Egypt, and God goes, "You're gonna go to Pharaoh." Like all these different times, and like say, "Let my people go," and he's not gonna listen. And when he doesn't listen, I'm gonna send signs, right? And he
Yeah.
like sends like raining locusts and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? And you're like, this is getting crazy, right? Because like every time like Pharaoh's heart is hardened and he says no to Moses, like you're staying slaves, like crazy stuff happens,
Mhm.
right? And then you know, he leads the Israelites out of Egypt, right? And then there's the parting of the seas, and then you know they go out into the desert, and then he goes up Mount Sinai and disappears for 40 days and 40 nights and comes back with the 10 commandments,
I mean,
which they then put in an ark that
Yeah.
has like technological powers where it can either make bread or kill people.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you read that stuff in Exodus and it's so wacky at times,
Yeah.
but if you put it through an angle of like maybe God's like using some extraterrestrial intervention to make some of these moments happen. It could make it make a little more sense. Like the Ark of the Covenant's weird stuff, man.
The Ark of the Covenant, you know, that blows my mind. I mean, it's a piece of technology.
Right.
People who interacted with it get radiation sickness.
Yep.
What we now know would be radiation sickness.
Yep.
And it's got seemingly magical abilities, but I mean, what we know about modern technology is, you know, if you have no experience with it, technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, if we went back with an iPhone in the year 1000
Mm-hmm.
AD,
Right.
they'd think it was magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, even if you look at like you know, in Hindu religion, a lot of their stuff involves technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which makes me think of the Ark of the Covenant. Like Vishnu the Destroyer has his stick
Mm-hmm.
that he can do stuff with, and like I don't know, it's
Right.
the Ark of the Covenant. They bring down the walls of Jericho, and it's interesting to me. I mean, the 40 days and 40 nights experience sure sounds like a abduction,
Right.
and the even the visuals that's described, you know, the burning bush, it sounds a lot like,
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of like that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then like you look at like, and then he comes back with like basic rules on behavior,
Right.
which makes sense to me. It makes
Mhm.
sense to me that God would send messengers
Right.
saying, "Hey, you know, you're an evolving life form,
Right.
and as you evolve, this is the playbook
Mm-hmm.
that you want to play on this side." It just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's very pragmatic.
Yep.
It makes a lot more sense to me than
Just reading it as is.
Yeah. I personally, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people I know think the ancient astronaut theory is pretty out there, but personally, I think it connects a lot of dots.
I do too.
Yeah, which doesn't dots that like so for like not even like disproving religion. If anything, connecting the dots of religious history
Right.
to you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It validates it.
Right.
Because like a lot of the things that I know people say in the Bible doesn't make sense is well, all this stuff is not literal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's exactly literal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the missing piece, you know?
Yeah. No, one of the crazy things is I'm a member of a worship team at a church now. And I've told the story several times. And at one point we had like a company holiday party and we were playing like games and stuff. And like they were like, we're gonna play this game where like the craziest story wins, right? And Jim's normally got the craziest story, so like Jim's gonna tell this story, and I told the whole alien story to this group of probably 40, 50 Christians, and everyone when it was like done, they were just like everyone was like, that's one of the best alien stories I think I've ever heard, you know? And then in the months that followed, every time I'd be on worship team, there would be someone on team that would be like, hey, so your story, like, it really got me thinking and like looking more into this stuff and like God and Jesus and aliens, like, yeah, everything can coexist.
It can coexist.
Right.
And I mean, even like, as it seems like the world is preparing for disclosure, maybe not catastrophic disclosure where they dump everything,
Right.
but it seems like we're being primed for like at least the basics. Like, hey, there are craft.
Yep.
We don't know exactly where they come from, what the intention is, but that is true.
Yep.
That there's something going on.
Yep.
Interdimensional, interstellar, we don't know.
Yep.
Time travelers, we don't know, whatever it is. But even the Catholic Church, like, the Pope, the new Pope made a recent statement about like, yeah, well, we welcome it. They're like, we're ready for aliens to come visit, and that doesn't contradict anything in our teachings. And we'd love to sit down with them and chat. And I mean, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but the Pope was like trying to put it out there, like at least to his base.
Yeah.
Like, no, none of this contradicts anything.
Right.
Which I think is interesting too, because I mean, the Catholic Church is, their history is a lot like that of a government. I mean, they have their own army. They're their own city state. They have their own intelligence departments like countries would.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff that the Catholic Church knows.
Yep. Well, Diana Pasulka's book, America Cosmic, right?
Yeah.
She goes to the Vatican at one point, right?
100%.
And so they definitely, there's definitely things known within the Vatican and the Catholic Church, I believe, and then it's all connected.
They've got observatories.
Yep.
The Catholic Church spends a lot of money on scientific study of space and it's interesting. And then also there was this, I'm not remembering it correctly exactly, but there was when David Grush came out, and you know him, right?
Yeah.
So
that's one of my favorite testimonies.
Yeah, he's amazing. And one of the stories he tells about is an incident in Italy in the early days, and I think the Vatican was involved in that. It was like the major players were the Italian government, the Vatican, and the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So that was like in the early days of there being any crash retrieval programs.
Right.
Which, so on that note, like the Dulce base.
Yep.
Right. What are your thoughts on the theory that there's underground military bases all across the country that are connected through these maglev high-speed systems? You've heard these?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I look at like pictures of Area 51, it's tiny. It's like a few buildings.
Right.
And what comes to mind when I see it is I'm like, oh, well, everything has to be, it's all underground.
Right.
And that makes sense in a world where like every country has satellites.
Yep.
So you put it underground.
Right.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I definitely think that there's probably some alien underground bases.
Yeah.
Where aliens are working with the United States government to work on technologies, work on pharmaceuticals, work on all different kinds of stuff, because, it was like after Roswell, it was like the explosion in technology.
100%.
We continue to evolve in terms of technology. So like, there's got to be something going on.
We did more evolving with technology in the last 80 years than the previous 2000.
Right.
It's something tipped the scale. Yeah. And I agree. It seems like there's some cooperative efforts going on underground. And one of the things that just blows my mind is I just am fascinated with like, well, what force is that? Like obviously we would just, it's like the Men in Black. It's a shadow government.
Right.
But I don't know, it's fascinating to think about it from a literal perspective because whatever force that is controlling the whole world. Yeah. And they get to choose whether duly elected presidents are even read in on it. And it seems like some are and some aren't. Yeah. From what I understand, Trump is fully read in. Bush Sr. was fully read in. He was, so when he was head of the CIA, he was, a lot of a lot of people theorize that he was the gatekeeper of the legacy program, the legacy crash retrieval program
Right.
that's buried in the CIA and the Air Force, was Bush Sr., and that at some point it passed off to Dick Cheney. And I don't know if that's true, or maybe they both were gatekeepers, or maybe, but either way, there was Bush was quoted saying in his early days as director of the CIA, he asked to be read in on it.
Yep.
On the crash retrieval program. And he was told by his CIA, it's need to know and you don't have need to know.
I believe I did hear that. That was in the Luis Elizondo documentary, right?
And then that's always, I always struggle with like, well, what, I don't know what to believe when it's Elizondo and stuff, but but that kind of makes sense to me, that there would be these layers of government, and that they would see directors of the CIA, presidents, as temporary employees.
Yep.
Who don't need to know. The problem with that, though, is then who's overseeing it?
Right.
You know, not that I think government is the solution to everything, because it's not. But if we don't have representatives overseeing it,
right,
then it's just military contractors,
right,
playing God.
Yep.
With no oversight.
Yeah.
You try to get information through a FOIA request. Oh, that's a partnership with private industry. You know, this is America. It's not communism. You can't force a company to give proprietary technology.
Right.
Sorry, FOIA just hits a brick wall.
Yep.
You go up the commercial side of it. You sue Lockheed or Raytheon or one of these big companies, Skunk Works, try to get into the program on that side. On the private side, they say, oh, that's a classified government project.
Right.
We can't, there's a brick wall there. We can't give you government secrets. So this dual-sided brick wall, we can't give you government secrets. We can't give you corporate secrets.
Right.
And in there lives this, I don't know, but what's fascinating to me is there is clearly, it seems like, an internal battle to at least bring that program out of power and a new one in. Or there's some kind of dueling thing going on. Did you see the Jake Barber interview on News Nation?
No.
Oh man, I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
You'll love it. If you liked Grush, this one will blow your mind.
Really?
He's way more compelling than Grush.
Really?
Because he has way more hands-on personal experience with the programs.
Oh. Okay.
He was an operator in the programs.
Right.
Helicopter pilot.
Yep.
Picked up craft with his helicopter. He was part of the crash retrieval program. And I mean, when you watch him, he is a highly credible source. I don't think when I watch Jake Barber that it's Luis Elizondo vibes. Like I don't think he's counterintelligence. He seems like a genuine breakaway. Seems like he's hurting his life by sharing what he's sharing.
Yep.
But it's fascinating. One of the stories he talks about is how he picked up this UFO that was shaped like a giant egg. And he picks it up with his helicopter. And he actually has footage of it. There's footage of it online I can show you that he smuggled out basically. But so it's he's towing an egg, a giant egg, and he said that he felt the spirit, the entity, the consciousness inside the egg was communicating with him as he was towing it, and it was the most beautiful, feminine love he had ever felt, almost like an infant would feel for their mother, is how he felt about this egg.
Yep.
And it was causing him to bawl crying. So he's telling the story, he's getting choked up again. He's saying, so, and Ross, the interviewer, he says, have you, did you report, did you put in a report about that? He's like, what am I going to say, that while I was towing an egg goddess, she brought me to tears? Like,
right.
Where do I report that? What do I, but it's interesting too, because okay, Jake Barber and people like him who are part of these working groups that go out and do crash retrieval, they're like top secret programs inside other government programs, but they've created a breakaway working group now I forget the name of it, Skywatcher Project or something like that. I'll pull it up. I'll send you some stuff after.
Okay.
But where they're now, they have private investors that are putting in money to reverse engineer ET tech. Like if people think it's not real, like there are hedge funds now that the purpose is to reverse engineer ET tech, and millionaires and billionaires are putting in money, and they're hiring people from these working. So basically, they're moving some of this research over to the private industry.
Okay.
And this apparently this working group, the Jake Barber's part of, they've got some kind of dog whistle that they learned from their work in the program. Like they know how to. I don't know if it's a frequency you submit or what you do, but like they said, it's 100% successful. Every time they go out and utilize it, UAP show up. 100% successful.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that just blows my mind that like there's publicly traded like funds that reverse engineer ET tech, and like, I don't know, it's all hidden in plain sight. That's not very well hidden.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy.
No, it's interesting that that it was like the feminine spirit or whatever in the egg, because I was just thinking the parallel to the Chris Bledsoe
thing,
right?
With the lady,
the feminine, the feminine,
the divine feminine,
the divine feminine.
Yeah, that's what it made me think of too.
Right.
Whether it was the lady
and
or
even Christianity has a divine feminine in Mary.
Yeah. In Mary Magdalene, absolutely.
No.
In Mary, Mother Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that alone, Immaculate Conception, the concept.
Right.
It's like we have, there are women today that claim they didn't have sex, but they got pregnant, they had a baby.
Right.
I can send you some stuff that there's like, I'm trying to remember this guy's name. He was like an FBI agent, and now he does a bunch of on the trail of UFOs, kind of documentary stuff, History Channel A&E, stuff like that. Some of it's kind of cheesy, but some of it's interesting, and he's got a whole special on like women that believe they were part of a modern day hybridization program where they're like, well, I'm not sexually active, then I'm pregnant, then it develops far along, and then one day the fetus just disappears, but there's no miscarriage, there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's
interesting.
The rabbit hole gets pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's yeah. There's a lot going on.
That's wild.
Chris Bledsoe is a friend of mine, Patty.
Really?
Yeah, she's a makeup artist, and she like went just recently, was over there and like goes and stays with him.
Yeah, and she sees the orbs.
Sees the orbs.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, it's a frequency or something. It's like once they get on it, it's like they can call upon it, and like I know that like Chris Bledsoe has shared this with others, and other people have then had experiences with the orbs, and like I met like there was a guy, his name's Tom Barber. He's a metal musician, vocalist that's friends with Ryan Bledsoe, and once Chris had shared it with him, then he was able to occasionally see orbs, and then he would share that with other people, and then they would occasionally see orbs, and I met Tom at a concert. And I tried to like get out. I'm like, how do you like call upon these orbs?
Yeah.
And he was just like, just complete belief that they're gonna show up. And it's like, and you think about something like a concept like that.
Yeah.
And just how conditioned we are as human beings to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. And be like, oh, like this isn't gonna happen. Like even if I go, God, I believe that you can show me these orbs or show me these aliens or whatever it is. Like, there's still that one little piece of you inside that's like, I don't know if I really believe this. And that stops it. That stops the whole process.
Yeah.
And I haven't necessarily seen orbs or anything, but I with us moving, to a place like Maine with better, place to skywatch, it's, I'm hoping that I can get to that point where I see some orbs or something.
Well, maybe like the prediction was, that
when
they'll be back when you're ready.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you're in Maine.
Yep.
Jim, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks
is
for
a lot
doing
of
this.
fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. This is awesome.
Yeah.